place, and that we've talked about 100 to 150, that's a nice congregation, and that's what's possible here. But what's interesting is some of these leaders are now saying, okay, I'm going to take the official. And so we have one person going for LUT, another one talking about it. We now have 4 prayer chaplains.
Yay.
And that means we can expand. And I need to share with you that Valerie also ordered 2 more prayer stalls. So we're getting ready for the group of folks that are here to live a spiritual life. Because that's what we're talking about. So I'm very, very grateful. I appreciate you all very much. And my emotions are at the surface a lot today because I understand what I've been through.
You're pregnant.
I'm very, very thankful, very, very thankful to be here. You understand. Doug and I had a chat. But until you've been through it, there's no, and I know Tommy's been through, some of you have been through the life issues, and you're very thankful to be here. But there's also a renewed purpose in life. Part of that is a conversation of who do we trust. So my topic today in the article I wrote for this week was, you are the secret you've been looking for. See, we keep looking outside. Madeline and I have been through all kinds of issues. You know, we studied this, we studied that, we knew how to do the tarot, we knew how to do this. We've been in groups. We went through, you know, you figure all the heart-based groups, starting with Est and working all the way through. We've been in all of them. No, that's not fair. We've been in a lot of them. That's true. And it's always looking for the next step. Or another workshop to attend. Maybe this one will have the answer. And maybe the next one. Or maybe this speaker is the one I want to be with. Or maybe this group. And it's always looking for something more. And the truth is, the more is you. In other words, the kingdom of heaven is within. That's what Matthew 5 says. The kingdom of heaven is within. So everything we are looking for is already there. You got it? And we're in Luke and in Matthew, but Luke is a better quote. It says, you are the light of the world. Now, I want you to hear that, because the light, 2,000 years ago, so Jesus was speaking in Aramaic, and he was using words to create a metaphor of how to explain. That's why he called the Father within, because how do you explain a spirit that takes care of you? And back then, again, remember, the Father ran the house. The Father, if you wanted something to do something, you had to go get permission from the Father. As a matter of fact, it was tradition. Usually, one day a week, you had to make an appointment and go talk to the Father. So the Father made decisions and helped you do what you needed to do in life. So the metaphor was the Father within, he doeth the work, and ye are the light of the world. So the light is an emblem of all the radiation of the energies that you bring forth. Now, science has come up with the idea, very interesting, in quantum physics, that what you think about, you create, that you are a radiant source of energy. If you've ever been involved with heart math out in California, you do know that they have measured the radiation around us, and they've gone out to 8 foot, but they say they can't go any further because the instruments aren't sensitive enough. We know there are frequencies in the world up to the thousands and millions per second, which are far beyond our ability to measure them and far beyond our ability to be conscious of them. Does that mean they're not there? No. So when he was saying the light, he was saying you radiate all the energies in the world, and you are the center of the universe. Everybody there? Now that's a concept. I want you to think about that. You are not sinful. Is that recorded? Okay, you are the light of the world. And where does all this negativity come from? Now, let's do a quick history lesson. One of the newer ideas that's coming in is from the Ho'oponopono idea, that there's an origin to everything. Charles Fillmore talked about the perfect pattern of life, which means deep within our souls is a perfect pattern of the universe completely everything good. And Jesus said, don't worry, because it's already there. Because he knew there was a perfect pattern in each one of us. The Ho'oponopono talks about it back to the origin, which means when you were created, in Genesis 1, the last verse in Genesis 1 says, and God saw it and knew it was good. So back in the beginning, thousands of generations ago, it was perfect. Everybody there? Which meant there was nothing to worry about. There was nothing to be concerned about. That health and all these things were not issues. They were automatically demonstrated in our lives through our thinking. And we have allowed thousands or hundreds of generations of negative possibilities to override all that origin or all that perfect pattern. So you see the issues in life, and we're dealing with that. You know, in other words, when we are skeptical, when we are critical of others, when we see things that aren't true, we are perpetuating the negative aspects of life. And do we all do it? Yes. All we have to do is look at the TV for a while, or talk to that next door neighbor that you want. Or I have family that I don't talk to, anybody agree? So there's all these issues that keep us bound in that negative outlook on life. And it's one thing that I'm aware I am here to talk about. And that's what you're creating is a spiritual community to birth a new outlook on life. Linda Bowling's not here today, but Linda ordered a book, and a couple of people have suggested that she read it. So I had to purchase a copy also. Everybody see the title on this book? It's called Birthing a Greater Reality. This is Robert Brumet. Robert Brumet is he was the Dean of Seminary for Unity Worldwide Ministries. He is considered an excellent speaker and idea generator. And this is his work. And I'd like to share part of it with you. Is what he is saying is we have stopped evolving physically. So I don't know whether you want to get into evolution or not, but I'm not going to go there. But we don't do that, okay? We do evolve spiritually. Everybody there? So he said we are developing new levels of consciousness. And I want you to read, this is kind of like toward the end of the book. And it says, as a conscious evolutionary, which means you and me are conscious evolutionaries, reaching a higher level of consciousness, which means awareness of life. Or maybe back to the original pattern that we were created with thousands of generations before. So it says the universe is now consciously evolving through you. See, we're back to this idea that you are the hands and feet of God. In other words, how does God get things done in the world? You. And your efforts and your consciousness. See, this radiation of who you are goes out into the universe and affects people around you. Anybody agree when somebody negative walks into your world, you can feel it? Hello?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like we had somebody visit with us a couple days ago and couldn't wait to get it now. See, again, that conversation is a negative conversation because we slip into it. It's my job to hold the consciousness that person is perfect and whole. So that's what we're doing. See, anytime we judge, we're pulling them out of the reality of who they are into the negative space that we hold. So it's a very, very interesting conversation. So that's why I say the secret we've all been looking for is you. And I hate to admit that, okay? And I had to spend a couple of months in a hospital and rehabilitation, and that's coming through really strong. No, the correct word is strongly, because it's an adverb or anyway. Isn't it funny how we go into self-criticism? So the divine pattern within your soul is being activated through your heart's deepest desire. So deep within you, you have a desire to be who you really are. And the little ego voice holds us back. So again, we're back to what is possible. What were you programmed to do? What's your part of the world? And Larry's part is beautiful guitar. Now, he's got more to do than that, but that's, and each one of us, Bruce is here to be song leader. Tommy's here to be the leader and clean the property. But each one of us is here to fulfill a divine pattern, because that's your soul's level. And so that's why I keep saying, you're the secret that you've been looking for. I'm the secret I've been looking for. And when we do in community, we're back to the metaphor of the symphony, creating a new world. And we've been trained to think, oh my God, how can I do that? I'm not good enough, or I'm broken, or I'm a sinner. And none of that is correct. You're a child of God. And the minute you say, I'm a child of God, what are you taking in? So can you tell I'm now preaching? But it just amazes me how I've limited myself. And then divine pattern is being activated through your heart's deepest desires. Now, I'll share that. Pregnant with the potential of a greater reality, you are about to make a quantum leap in fulfilling your purpose in this life, which is to become a fully conscious expression of the one presence, God. Stop and think about that. The power that created the universe, that holds the universe together, is you. Because we are one in that energy, and in that energy, all is well. So I'd like to, everybody ready? I'm going to make the next step. Which means things are new. It's funny, I got a graphic. I happened to pick up, read a newspaper yesterday, and it says, you see this title, New Leap of Faith? That's what we're talking about. In other words, the world has given us patterns to live by. Okay, see it? New leap of faith. Okay, now it's about economic stuff because the world is changing and we're going into a different economic system. Folks, if you haven't figured it out, the world is changing. Everybody there? And the way things have been in the past ain't the way they're going to be in the future because we're operating in a newer consciousness. Part of my belief is the reason so much stuff is up is it has to change. And if you understand the chaos theory says the only way for change to occur is it has to go through chaos and then find a newer, higher level of understanding. Would you agree we're in chaos? Okay? So like part of my absence has been part of the chaos. And are we coming out better? Yeah, we've got 4 chaplains. We've got 2 people involved in leadership. We've got 4 or 5 people step forward. We've got Tommy cleaning up the property. Doug and Sharon are here. There's all kinds of new things happening. And do we have to go through a period of time? Yes. I believe that's what's happening politically. I'm not going to go there, but that's what's happening in the world. So, it means the old way of doing things is gone. Now, let's talk about where the money's coming from our church. Everybody there? Mm-hmm. Kingdom of heaven is where? Within. Means it's not in a bank. It's not over here, and even in a lotto, it's not anywhere other than the universal energy is God. God is everywhere present. And anybody figure out how many billions of dollars are floating through the air all the time? You just pick up a newspaper. They're talking about a $3 billion this, and somebody just selling an $18 million mansion. Who is it? What's her name? Anyway, she and her wife are selling $18 million. Ellen, yeah, are selling $18 million mansion. That means money is everywhere. It's just a consciousness of money that creates money. And we have set an intention. Everybody there? So the idea of intention is, and I was going to read, in Matthew 12, it says that, the word, your word is creative. Maybe I should look it up just for your edification. Okay? Matthew 12. It says, and I still need glasses. I'm really doing a good job with that.
They're on the.
Thank you. See, I haven't seen these things yet. I still got to deal with this. Okay. It says in verse 33, 12:33, either produce like a good tree or with good fruits, or produce like a bad tree with bad fruits. For a tree is known by its fruits. So by what we produce, we're known by. And in the spirit, we produce spiritual things. In the world, or when we bow to the world, we produce what the world is. And then it goes on to say, verse 36, for I say it to you, that for every foolish word which men speak, they shall have to answer for it in the judgment. So my words, so it goes on and says, for by your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be found guilty. So the new world is the old world that Jesus was talking about 2,000 years ago. And the word is our intention, because the word is generated by thought, and thought is generated by cultural ideas and beliefs that are behind them. So when we speak word, it comes from thoughts, and our thoughts are consciousness. In other words, what's there in our beliefs. So when we have evolved to a higher level, our consciousness is more spirit. So we are saying that it is possible for us to create a church on that property down there. And we talked about needing, we're probably up to 1.5 million. And is it possible to have that show up?
Yes.
Because remember, the word is our intention. Our intention is to trust God. Anybody been willing to say, I trust God?
I trust.
See, and the minute you say that, you're taking on a huge issue. Because you have to hold the vision that it's going to occur. And there will be people come say, well, you're going to have to borrow the money. Already been there. We've had 2 or 3 or 4 people take with that. But your board is holding firm that that's possible. And we're going to be doing a couple things. Now, one of the things to do is let go of the old patterns. And it's amazing to me. I keep running into new patterns that I'm not happy about. So it's letting them go. And one of the things we do at New Year's Eve is we do a burning ball. Okay? So one of the things we need to do is let go of all the old thoughts of how you build a church. Because anybody agree, you've got to have a bank, you got to do this, you got to do that. Okay? And you can't depend on you know, you got to have big donors. Who knows where money's coming from? Who knows where it's going to happen tomorrow? Who knows where we'll be tomorrow? The only thing I know is I can trust God, and that's the basis of Christianity. Excuse me. So we're going through a consciousness evolution. And the question is, are you an evolutionary?
Yeah.
Are you part of this spiritual community? And we can move together as long as we radiate at the same level. Is everybody there? So it's a combination. So, and when I'm finished, we're going to do at the end of the year, we do a burning bowl. So today we have a burning bucket. Okay, and right here we have a bucket with sand in it. Okay, Madeline has paper that we're going to write, what you want to let go. And I'm going to ask you to let go of any fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Remember, the ego creates fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And any preconceived notions that won't work. So we're going to ask you each one to do that. Everybody there? And then we have to create new words. New words. And so we have for each one of you, we have a self-addressed back to the church and stamped envelope. And in the envelope is a sheet of paper that asks you to describe in your words the new church. What do you see? What do you visualize? What do you feel? How's it going to operate in the community? For me, it's a place of harmony. It's going to be visually beautiful, where people that drive by would stop. It's going to be like a park. We're going to have a labyrinth. See, and again, these are things. It's got to have a green roof. This is according to Robert. But I think it needs to fit into nature, which is green. And so it's not going to be a castle that creates a huge debt. It's going to be a sanctuary. So I'm gonna ask you to do that. So that's what we're gonna do at the end of the service, okay? Now, that process is almost a daily process. Again, a spiritual life occurs on a daily basis. It's what I do every day that builds a new consciousness. So the only way I can create a new evolutionary consciousness or become an evolutionary consciousness person is to do a daily process, okay? And that daily process is starting the day with prayer, starting prayer with meditation. So what are we doing? We're cleaning out the old. And when we take a look at praying, what are we asking for? We're asking for something new. So that's part of the evolutionary process. Okay. Now, I don't want to take too long because we're moving, ahead of time. I would love to tell you I'm very thankful to be back. You guys have been a blessing, all of you, because I've gotten cards. Thank you, Judy. I've gotten cards from many of you. I know I've gotten prayers. My wonderful wife is still hovering, making sure I sit down. And you got to understand what she has been through. It's very, very interesting. Tommy,
did you get any coloring book done?
No. That's still on my.
I'm
That's
so
still on my
disappointed.
Tommy brought me a coloring book with crayons. So I appreciate that. And Bill, Kat, brought me a book on the Bible and the things in the Bible, which we'll probably use in the future. But the biggest thing I got was your prayers, your thoughts, your concerns, if you will. But what I'd like you to do is see the future now. And the future's clearer for me. This group of people can change the world. And I believe you are already changing the world, but there's a lot more to do. And each one of you has the capability of being a leader in the future if you want to be. But a lot of you will be what I call prayer warriors. In other words, our prayer chaplains are prayer warriors, but prayer warriors make a difference in the world by holding the positive thoughts, not the negative thoughts. And knowing that our society can flourish, our society can figure out a way to be at peace, our society can figure out a way to solve hunger, because hunger is not an individual process, it's a belief process. And sacrifice is not necessary, and struggle can be given up.
Robert, speaking of hunger, excuse me, you don't know this, but Kathleen kept our hunger going.
Yes.
She was bringing Tracy and me and people the food, so I wanted to...
See, that's what people have done. So many of you have given gifts of your heart, and we appreciate that. So all this, you gotta understand, this is possible. And that piece of property is not a pipe dream, it's there. And if those of you remember, it took us a while to get it. And as a matter of fact, somebody else purchased it and then it fell through and we just happened to be ready. And so the same thing is happening overall. So again, I'm going to tell you, that is our...
And we paid cash for that property,
We paid cash.
so that's possible.
Yeah. So we are there. So I really don't have too much else to say, but I want to give you, I don't know whether you noticed, but my gratitude just wells over. You have been a wonderful group, and that group is growing. The people that are here, you are part of the core, but there's a huge core out there waiting to hear from you. So thank you. I'm going to end here, and then we're going to do a bucket, okay? Questions? Anybody want to comment?
Great to have you back.
I'm overjoyed. And I'm doing well, okay? Those of you who are worried about me, okay, I'm still a little bit edgy on my feet, but the rest of it I'm good.
And he's preaching at home a lot, so...
We gotta walk the talk. You can shut that, you can shut it down. Okay. Madam, would you help?